All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining today's RPA virtual sessions. This is session 5. We're really excited to keep on bringing these interactive live YouTube webinars for you guys. Some free content put out by the Rating Professionals Alliance and all of our teams and partners. Today's webinar series is featuring Carson Brown. I'll talk a little bit about Carson as I make the introduction as we move a little forward. But let's talk about what we got going on here. So this is the Rating Professionals Alliance. This is now a couple of these we've been putting out there on YouTube. Really excited to bring free content to you guys, share who some of our members are, what they're doing, what they're working on. Feel free to subscribe. That's a little link there to our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, save these videos for later. They're very useful. If you don't have time to watch them in live time or interact with our Q&A, again, you can save these things for later, and they'll be there living on the internet forever. So we thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited to get more of these contents out to you and yeah, continuing the conversation of how we can empower. All right. So today I want to thank some of our sponsors. As you see, this list has been growing, which is great. Episode 5 now, we've got quite a few more sponsors on this list. So I'd like to share some of our folks here who have been helping us move it along here. The Unico Systems, Aquatherm, Mr. Pex, Water Furnace International, Taco Comfort Solutions, Plastics Pipes Institute, Albert Hydronics Control, IGSPA, Federated Insurance, Tungsteel Corporation, Surge Digital Marketing, Geothermal Rising. So these are our members. These are our folks here who really help us move the needle on sharing some of this educational content and helping us get some of these new contents off the ground and in your inboxes. So if anybody's interested in joining up with what we're doing or wants to advertise with the RPA or the Radiant Professionals Alliance, you can scan that little QR code there or get in touch with me. So again, you recognize a lot of these logos and faces here, so we're just excited to keep on adding to the alliance here and continuing to watch it grow. We do have some upcoming meetings that I wanted to share with all you guys before we get started on today's session. We are going to be at AHR from the 10th through the 12th in Orlando County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. We will be hosting 8 free educational sessions. Again, we're going to be doing our live from AHR YouTube sessions, just like we had in past years. So if you're not going to be attending the show, we'll have plenty of that content available for you online after the event. So we hope you'll join us there in person. We will have a booth. And we will also be hosting our RPA business meeting. So on February 11th at 8 a.m. at the same location, AHR Convention, room 107. If you can join us, interested in joining the RPA or hearing a little bit more about what we're doing in this coming year, it'd be great if you guys could join us there. I know a lot of folks will be in the room, so we'd love to have you there and join the conversation. Another one of our events that's coming up is the IGSPA conference for 2025. It's going to be hosted in Champaign, Illinois. IGSPA is a partner of ours. We've signed MOUs with them this year, and we just want to support them in any way that we can. So if you guys have an opportunity to get out and join them, they have some great conversations about ground source heat pumps and all the like. So there'll be a lot of education sessions available for all these things up in the coming year. So we're excited for you guys to be joining us, and we're excited to be out there meeting you all. So again, hopefully you'll join us with some of these upcoming events. Just a little general housekeeping. By the nature of trade associations like the RPA and the HIAC, it brings together competitors, which means they're subject to higher scrutiny for anti-competitive issues. Antitrust laws prohibit the agreement or coordination of efforts unreasonably interfere with free and open competition, and penalties for violations can be served. IATMO and all of its subsidiaries adhere to the antitrust laws and expect all webinar participants to do the same. During this webinar and any other interactions outside of it, discussions and agreements that could restrain competition are strictly prohibited. This includes exchanging information on individual pricing, rates, coverages, market practices, claim settle practices, or any other competitive aspects of individual company operations. Each participant is obligated to speak up immediately if the discussion stray outside these bounds. Your continued acceptance and participation in this webinar signify your acknowledgement and acceptance of this policy. The session will be recorded and available for viewing at a later time. All attendees' mics will remain muted for the duration of the session. And please utilize the chat for the Q&A, and our speaker will be notified if time permits. So before we get going here, today's session is creating a customer generating machine by leveraging digital techniques with our host, Carson Brown of Surge Digital Marketing. So you may have heard of some of these platforms that come out there, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, but navigating which social platforms to use and creating content that actually gets people to want to watch them is harder than performing neurosurgery, according to Carson. So now until today's talk, Carson's going to provide us with insights on exactly which social media platform to use to dominate your marketplace and which platforms you should be focused on for 2024 and 2025. So without further ado, please welcome Carson Brown, the CMO and co-owner of Surge Digital Marketing, for his talk, Creating a Customer Generating Machine. Thank you, Carson.
Thank you, John. Awesome. Thank you guys all for being here, and hopefully that introduction You related to the neuroscience or neurosurgery remark there. Sometimes taking care of your online presence can be as hard as performing neurosurgery. I've coined that phrase. So Billy, Dale, Martin, Mel, Rick, Sean, Seth, thank you guys for being here. So I'm going to go and share my screen, and I'll jump right into it. So quickly, who am I? So this is kind of a little snapshot of me and my family. Uh, on the left is my sister, my dad, my mom, my brother's girlfriend, my brother, my grandma. This Kurt Cobain looking dude is actually me from like 1 year ago. And then on the right there next to me, that's my business partner's wife. And then to the right here, this guy smiling super hard, which is, I don't even know if this is an authentic smile. I think he was joking. This is actually my business partner. So um, his name is Seth. And yeah, I'll get into kind of like who I am briefly, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty, the good stuff. I'm the like head of marketing over here at Surge Digital. Take care of all the sales. I'm a brother, son, believer, creative person. I love nature, hate doing the dishes, soccer fan, artist, nerd. And this is my dog, Boston. So this was what she dressed up as for Halloween. This was last year, so I don't know what she dressed up for this year. I'll have to ask and get back to you guys on that. But diving right into this, and this is kind of like the whole reason I'm taking that personalized approach here, of course, is to introduce you guys to who I am, but also it relates so much to what we'll be going over during the talk today. And why did I choose this topic? I felt like, in 2024, 2025, for us as business, small businesses, large businesses, I mean, I think the niche of small businesses is probably who um, I can really relate this talk to, but I also see the presence of this in a larger business as well. It's really differentiating yourself. How can we differentiate ourselves from the competition uh, in such a saturated market where it seems like everybody has a small business, everybody has a business these days? There's so many choices. What's it going to take for somebody to choose you? Um, so kind of diving into this, like who is this talk for? Before I get into it, I want to see if that chat function actually works. This is like the tech savvy scale. So in terms of tech savviness, if you're a 10 and you're like Elon Musk, drop it in the chat. If you're a 1 and you're more towards like Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies, drop that. If you're somewhere in the middle, whatever number best describes you. I see in the chat here, we have a 10 from John. He's Elon Musk. Sean's a 7. Okay. What else do we have? I know we have a few more people in here. 5. Okay. Mel, thank you. Billy, 2. Okay. Right on, right on. We can work with that. 8 from Martin. Awesome. I estimated today it was gonna be around like a total of a 5. We have some geniuses in here. We have some Elon Musks. I saw a 10. Nobody's quite at the granny level at the 1. So I'll try to play ball with like the middle here. So moving on to, I'm glad I have a better understanding of where we all sit in here, and I think it's going to be extremely valuable no matter where you are on that spectrum. I made it super polar opposite. It's kind of hard to truly understand when you throw a 5 in there where you lie because they're so different. But that being said, owners, operators, business executives, technicians, mascots, this is all the ideal audience I feel like this talk will be beneficial to. And I say that because through doing this, there are so many different strategies and some that I don't even know have fully been elaborated on. But basically, no matter where you sit in your business, if you're trying to just level up as someone who's really loves their job, or you're the business owner, you're going to get value from this conversation today. And if you have any questions at all throughout it, let me know. There will be a Q&A at the end. But my kind of 5 biggest things that I feel like you can take away from this is, 1, to share your story. I think in the trades field in general, there's so many unique backgrounds, unique ways that people get involved, whether it's your lineage, you're a 4th, 5th generation plumber like John, or Maybe you're the first in your family to go kind of blue collar. Everyone was sort of white collar. There's there's not always an opportunity to share that with people that aren't like your friends or family. So there's a big thing here. Meet people. I mean, we just had 7 or 8 people interact in the chat. All 7 or 8 likely have a different application for this talk. So how about a conversation to, potentially meet somebody who you guys can work together on growing your businesses based on some of the things that I'm explaining here. So there's a great opportunity to meet people being part of this webinar. I want to give you an action plan for posting. I don't want to just give you theory here. I want to give you tactics, things that you can take from this video and start implementing today. Impact the world. I know it's the big grand statement, but we do all have like a small world around us that we can impact, whether that's our local city, our community, our neighborhood. Just putting your name out there can genuinely impact the world, I believe. And lastly, generate revenue. So this one, of course, self-explanatory, but I've seen it firsthand. And I'll go over case studies of how people have actually generated tens of thousands of dollars from this strategy, and how you can even go far beyond that. And that kind of brings me into part 2. So examples of this. I want to highlight first my buddy Brad, who I met Brad back at a business owners event. And at the time, Brad was really just getting started in his business. He had, I think, 1 or 2 clients. And we were talking a little bit about, hey, how do I grow my brand? How do I grow my business? He said he had somebody helping him cold call. He was, doing referrals, networking, word of mouth stuff. And his business was really barely off the ground at that time. And one of the biggest takeaways I have from that event is Brad telling me, I'm going to go all in on making content, social media stuff, like building my brand. And genuinely, I looked at him and I was thinking in the back of my head, dude, that's a horrible strategy. That's never going to work. I've never seen that happen. I've never done it this way. So it's probably not going to work for you. And fast forward to today, through methods of posting about family, his personal life, his baby on the way, his weight loss journey, his random inspirational content that I've seen. I got back on a call with him just last month, and Brad had taken his agency from $1,000 to $2,000 per month to over $15,000 per month in recurring revenue just from this strategy alone, just leveraging this content. So there's some actions right there, and I'll get more into Brad in his story as we go. I'm going to jump next to Izzy, who is another person I met, not at an in-person event, but through an online community. Now, Izzy, we were both part of this community where the big focus in that community was run ads, run ads, run ads, like pay to get leads. And that was just the mantra of the community. And it was funny because I feel like me and Izzy and all the other people in the community were just talking to the same people, that because we all posted similar ads to a similar target audience. Facebook basically was like, okay, these guys get all of these leads who were just being recycled over and over and over again. And at the same time, Izzy is growing his YouTube presence, which has gotten him to where he was at the time of being in that community with him. And long story short, he never quit on that, on the content. He actually had left that community, same as and I recently connected with him. And I said, how's your business doing? And he's like, dude, I go all in on my content today. My YouTube channel is the #1 source of revenue for our business, and we're running an over six-figure business. He's bringing in a 6-figure income simply from what he's doing here with his organic content. So he's doing it in a different way than Brad, which is value first content, really business heavy, providing free value to his community, and also like relevant news, things that are going to pertain to his industry. And myself, I do have a channel which it's not yet nearly off the ground as Izzy's, but just recently I posted a YouTube short. It had over 500 views and probably more views. Yeah, more views than any of my other YouTube shorts. And this is a video about something I saw in my local community in Salem, Massachusetts, which I was kind of grew up there. They go crazy for Halloween. I mean, you thought my dog's Halloween costume was cool. They go next level. And so you have guys on stilts dressed up as clowns. And I just took a video of this. What's so cool is you can do this wherever you go. Um, Took a video of this clown guy, thought it was cool. I was like, I'm going to share this with my team. And I have someone that manages our social media, and he posted this. And next thing you know, it's our most popular video. And just this one kind of different post amongst all of my business related content can bring a personal touch to who I am as a business owner. And that's, again, part of the strategy. I'm going to get into kind of the tactics here, but moving on, we all, I'm not going to say we all know because he's sort of a newer, whoops, I zoomed out too far. Let me try to get back here. Jake from State Farm. We all know or have heard of probably State Farm. Maybe not all of us are familiar with Jake from State Farm. So who he is basically the face of the company. And I believe because of how State Farm has developed Jake from State Farm into this person, I would assume that some people would mistake him for the owner of the business. I mean, he's just all over the brand. So you might think, oh, he's the owner, Jake from State Farm. Yeah, he's the owner. No, he was actually just an employee or a hire, strategic hire, became the face of the brand to the point where now if you go to use State Farm, you might in the back of your head be thinking, oh yeah, this is the company that Jake from State Farm is part of. Like I use that company. And so there's this status symbol behind the brand. And I think that this is a perfect example of that mascot. I mentioned mascot earlier. If you have a brand that has like a logo or a mascot or something, you can almost make content on behalf of that person and have it all be thematic and in those style, the way the person speaks. If it's a pirate, he's going arg. If it's a dog, he's going woof woof. Hear about our next. This is our most recent charity event that we were at. Whatever the case is, this is a perfect example of that being done. I brought up Chuck E. Cheese just because, I mean, this is another one. It's a little less applicable. I don't have all the details on it, but Chuck E. Cheese is, I mean, it's nothing without this mouse, Chucky. So, yeah, those are some case studies on why I think this or where I think this makes sense and different examples. Um, so part three, and if anyone has any questions, I mean, don't have to be super rigid with this so far. If you have anything, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Is this making sense so far? Like, give me a 1 in the chat if you guys are following along. This is making sense. If I'm going too fast, give me a 2, and I can sort of slow down and keep that in mind. I see some stuff here. Appreciate you guys for communicating in the chat. Just help me out. Awesome. So we got a lot of 1s. I'll take that as we're doing good. Part 3, why should I even care about this? So this is a good question. And this was asked to me. I gave sort of a prelude of this to a group I'm in called Toastmasters, where you can sort of share, you do public speaking, but I got feedback on this speech. And so these were some of the main frequently asked questions I got after giving a sort of snippeted version of this. Frequently asked question number 1 is, hey, I don't follow influencers. Like I don't care about like the next flashy influencer. That's not really my cup of tea. Why would someone want to follow me if I don't have that mentality? Like I don't follow those kind of people. I'm totally with you there. That's actually why this Brad Starnes, the guy that I talked about earlier, was so relevant to me because the content that he posts, it doesn't feel forced. It feels like it's organic. It feels like it's personal. It feels like it's himself. I actually like getting an update on how he's doing in life. I'm not even that close of a friend with Brad, but when I see what he's posting, it's easy to relate to. So I emphasize act and post in a way that your current audience would appreciate, and even think to yourself before I post, would I appreciate seeing this content? Would I actually want to watch this? If the answer is no, then don't post it. But if you think, hey, I actually might enjoy what I'm seeing here, then I would say yes, post it. Second one is what kind of revenues could come from this? And I kind of got into it. Brad went from $1,000 to $15,000 in MRR. And he's in sort of a lower volume, higher ticket industry. This is going to vary industry to industry, of course. If you're doing more high or lower ticket, maybe services, higher volume, that number could look a bit differently, especially if it's like one-time services where it's not going to be recurring revenue. But 15x is 15x in terms of growth. Izzy, he's running consistently six-figure business. I mentioned that. Next is, what do I actually post? I get sick of people posting spam all the time. And I would say, I will get into this more, but post things that you would want to see. So I'm realizing now that's kind of a redundant one compared to what I talked about just a second ago. But it is probably worth emphasizing twice that if the content that you see annoys you is stuff that you feel like you have to post, that's not the case. You don't have to be annoying out on these platforms. You can be really genuine and post free value, and people will love watching it. So that brings me to kind of, what do I post? So looking at this, I mean, there's a lot of platforms. I had a specific introduction just because, I mean, you have TikTok, which is this new platform. You have Facebook, which has been around for quite a while, Instagram, YouTube, and I think it's overwhelming sometimes to try and balance out all of these different things. So I'll go over like which platforms I recommend we even think about, because some of them you can probably leave out. And what do you post on those specific platforms? Because what works on Facebook may not work well on YouTube, and what works on TikTok may not work well on Facebook. So you just have to sort of understand why people are on each platform at a basic level. And a lot of this stuff you probably already know. So this will just be like reminders. What do I post? I like to think of the 80-20 rule. I think it's also known as the Pareto principle. Basically, 20% of the work yields 80% of the results. Has anyone heard of that? And this is not a perfect ratio, but it's a good rule of thumb. So I always say, feel free to experiment, but I'm going to be pretty much using the 80-20 rule when it comes to the content. Not in the exact way of the Pareto principle in terms of 20% of the work yielding 80% of the results, but almost 80% of this type of content, 20% of this type of content. So what do I mean? Let's go into the personal content platforms. So this is your Instagrams, your Facebooks. These two are the ones that I would say, when you're posting content on these platforms, 80% of this content should be personal content, like stuff that you feel like is just about you. It's about your life, maybe your family, your friends, what you did last weekend, what you're doing this weekend, how you're feeling. And this is, again, balanced with 20% of free value content. So on Instagram and on Facebook, 80% of the content that you post is going to be personal content. And this is, I would recommend 4 to 5 posts, or 5 posts a week. I'll get into more of the specifics. And if you think about 80% of 5 is 4. So 80% of those, or 4 out of those 5 posts, we're going to stick to personal content. 1 out of those 5, you can throw in something value-based, beneficial to your target audience in terms of like actionable things or business related. Then we have sort of our value platforms. So this is kind of the Izzy strategy. Brad Starnes was sort of the personal brand. Izzy is sort of the value platforms. This is where these are where you're going to want to make most of the content that you post valuable to your audience in terms of it's about my brand, it's about my business, about things that are related to work, less related to personal. YouTube, YouTube Shorts, X, email, and email is not necessarily social media, but I'll show you where this applies. And LinkedIn is the 5 to /6 or 5 places that I recommend. 80% of the content that you post is very value heavy, and only 20% is sort of personal content outside of value. And trust me, if you're at all lost in terms of what is value, what is personal, I will get to like the specifics of that. But a good rule of thumb when it comes to posting value, and I don't want to neglect any of these platforms. All of these platforms you see on your screen, YouTube Shorts, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. These are the big ones, the big five. If you're thinking about value, a good little snippet here is a quote from Alex Hormozy. He's kind of a business business entrepreneur. He's on YouTube. He's really big on social media. So if you're trying to build your audience and learn, I would recommend you follow Alex Hormozy. He has this almost phrase. It's give, then ask. So in terms of creating content, you always want to be giving, and then you can throw in that ask through the 20% when it comes to um, the posting. Cool. All right. So there's a couple I left out, and there's a lot more social medias out there. If I'm not listing any here, let me know, because there's going to be newer ones coming up every every so often. TikTok, Nextdoor are just two that I could think of. I'd recommend, instead of trying to follow these parameters, 80-20 rule, um, go ahead and focus on just reposting content here. It doesn't have to be super structured, just to get your name out there. Repurpose content. It doesn't have to be too specific for TikTok. I recommend this strategy too, because going back to this guy, Alex Hormozy, I very much trust him based on his audience. He's accumulated millions of followers in a short period of time, just less than a couple years, few years. He gave statistics on this, and TikTok was one of the lowest producing for his business. And so that's where I'd say, like, anecdotally speaking, it may make sense to just kind of repurpose it, or you don't even necessarily have to use it at all. Cool. So that was sort of which platforms to use. And I did hint at what's going on those platforms, but getting into sort of the specifics of what's going on those platforms, this strategy, what do I actually post? This is, if you're taking notes, this is where I would recommend you start writing this stuff down. The value content, the stuff that's going to go for YouTube, YouTube Shorts, X, LinkedIn, and like cold email or email to your current list, rather. Value. So what kind of value do I post, Carson? You might be wondering. They ask, you answer. Frequently asked questions. Things that your customers are telling you all the time. Like, hey, when do I need to get my HVAC unit replaced? When should I have my plumbing looked at? When do I need to get my air filters replaced? Just constant things that you guys might be facing on the day to day. That's perfect content to start making these videos about, or these posts about. They ask, you answer. Then you can ask questions. So here's value, like, hey, how do I get my audience to speak up? What kind of questions can I post that are going to pique the interest of my audience? Podcasts. So this webinar is a perfect example of something that I'm actually going to use and repurpose for my brand. And the cool thing is this is a long form piece of content. It's, I don't know what we're at right now. It looks like maybe 30 minutes into this, 20 minutes into this at this point. And I can make dozens of videos simply from just this one piece of long form content. So I don't need to make 20 unique videos. I can just chop this video up in 20 different ways. So think about how you can repurpose content. That's a perfect example. Is you guys are part of this video that I can use to shout out my brand. People you deem interesting. These are all people you can do podcasts with: old friends, families. This is relevant stuff for podcasts, vlog style content. So you on the job site, you could take a quick video of something that you're actually experiencing on the job site or at the office, running the business, wherever your seat is in all of this. You can, share that in like terms of like actually pointing the camera at what's going on. You can point it at your face and have like a face-to-face snippet of content. It doesn't have to be anything super long, super polished. And then reusing old footage. Again, this is sort of what I mentioned with this webinar, how I can repurpose this and how you can do the exact same with long form content. Personal stuff, friends, families, hobbies, vulnerable events, like things that are going on that you might say, oh, like no one faces these things, but if you post about them, you might get 5 to 10 people saying, I experience the same things too. Life events. These are just things that they're general, but they're to make people realize that you are human. The number one thing I feel like is hard for businesses to stand out on social media is they post too much about the work they do. They post too much about the new fence they just installed or the new roof they installed or whatever. I think that's important to riddle that stuff in there. I mean, that's your craft. That's the things that you excel at. But if you don't know one, where you're posting, and then two, uh, what you're posting, it could just be a waste of your time. And so that's why, like, again, if we're talking about Instagram and or Facebook, it's a mostly personal place. Post about things that are meaningful in your life, share them, and you'll be so surprised at how much that makes the sale versus the work that you did, uh, or like the job that you just completed. And here's some examples, right? We have the video here, the cosplayer I saw, and that's sort of riddled into the 80/20 of my content, where most of my content on YouTube, because I'm following the guidelines that I've given you today, is value based. But that 20%, that quick YouTube short of the guy, that's like, oh, this guy's like, he's normal. He's like a normal person. Everything he talked about is not business related. So I have this stuff peppered in to the big overall pie that is what I'm posting on those platforms. Izzy. So he's the guy I mentioned. Who's got the YouTube channel where most of his content's coming from. Most of his content on YouTube is value based. So he's following that principle, 80/20 of mostly value. For him, it's more like 100 on 100% value, which is okay. Again, all of this stuff that I'm saying here is up for interpretation. You guys are all super smart in your own ways, and you can take the lead on posting this stuff. You don't have to always follow everything that I'm saying, but these are really good guidelines. Brad, he's the king of branding his business. I mean, I would highly recommend you follow Brad and you follow Izzy on YouTube and Instagram. And I'll go back and share those channels if you have any questions at the end of this, like, hey, how do I connect with these people? Please do, because I asked both of them before I featured them, hey, can I share this? They were like, absolutely. So I mean, the stuff that he's posting, like the hook here is this was my rock bottom. I mean, that's really intriguing. What was your rock bottom? And the amount of people that are coming to him saying, I want to work with you because you just seem normal, he told me is off the chain. Um, this one is a personal thing. I'm putting Thanksgiving out early. I think it's too early for Thanksgiving personally, but or for Christmas stuff. But to each their own. Um, Here's a question. Who has shaped your mindset the most as a business owner? So that's a good question to his audience. This is sort of the 20%. When we're talking about the 80% of his stuff is personal, this is the 20%. This was 2 days ago. Uh, who shaped your mind the most as a business owner? Gets his community talking. And here's one for the email, because I threw this in sort of last minute, to be honest, but it is so relevant. We all have accrued tons of information, tons of people, names, emails, phone numbers that have either worked with us or decided they didn't want to work with us, but they still have our information. If you can just give away value, um, it is so great. Like this guy is somebody I follow. He's constantly just sending me emails of here's this free vlog or blog, and it's how you can 3 simple lead generation tactics. This is just valuable to me. So the more value he keeps giving me for free, the more I trust him, the more I want to work with him. So just some examples here of people that I follow. And I think if you look at your social media from a new perspective going into after you watch this webinar, you'd be so surprised that, oh wow, some of these people have like really good personal content I want to learn from. All right. So part 5, deploying the strategy. So this is kind of where are you seated? This goes back to the beginning of the talk when I'm asking, where are you in your job? Are you the owner of the business? Are you an employee? Are you sort of the head of marketing? Like, where are you? Because this is going to help actually to implement the strategy. Some of this is a little bit things that I have yet to see besides like the whole Jake from State Farm. Some of it's actionable tactical things I've seen in my day to day. So the employee strategy is the first one I want to mention. I would say the employee slash mascot silo strategy. Picture this: you you're in your local market. There's a plumbing company, and they're called Joe's Plumbing, or yeah, Joe's. Let's just say Joe's Plumbing, and that's the main brand. And then under those brands, or under that main brand, you have John from Joe's Plumbing. You have Joe from Joe's Plumbing. You have Stacy from Joe's Plumbing. You have Bill from Joe's Plumbing. And all of these people simultaneously are working on building their brand, building their own personal brand. They don't want to be the owner of the business, but they love what they do and they care about sharing their story. They care about um, being they care about getting out into their local community. They maybe enjoy social media. Some people enjoy it more than others. Imagine all of them have this goal to share what they're doing, share what they're doing on the job site, share their personal 80/20. And so now your big brand, Joe's Plumbing, is getting promoted by all your team members. Jim, Stacy, Bob, these guys all have their little sub brands. And your local community sees these people. So maybe if they don't pick up on the main brand, they like what this guy Joe's all about. They like the content they posts. What he posts is different than some of the other employees on the team. And so because they just see him over and over and over again, that person who follows one of your employees who happens to be, which I'll get into, like incentivized to do this, they actually choose your business because they like what this particular employee was all about. So it's almost ways to multiply yourself, leverage your team's unique characteristics, and grow your business because of it. So I know that was kind of a high level topic, but essentially you have like your employees championing your brand through their own social media. Does that concept at all resonate with anyone? Do you think that that concept makes sense? If you think it did, that whole explanation, put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't and you kind of found it hard to follow, put a 2. I just wanted to see, because I'll be completely honest, I think that's a little bit new. That's something I haven't seen before, and I've wanted to see that because I think it would help. Like you picture just the neighborhood homeowners. I'm seeing some ones here, so I'm glad that it resonates with other people. Some homeowners, they're seeing this content being posted, and they decide, hey, I'm gonna use them because I really like what this guy stands for. Um, or the guy's a hunk, and the neighborhood mom's like, oh, he's cool. I want to invite him over and do the plumbing. So yeah, there's just so many tactics to this. And it's not fully proven, but it is something I have thought of. So how can you leverage this as the owner and get your team to do it? Or if you're on the team and you want to see your boss implement this or bring us to the table, you can incentivize this $50 extra per month for hitting your posting KPI. So something super basic. Hey, as long as I post 5 times a week, I'm going to get an extra $50. I can use that for whatever. And these numbers are not solid, like fully solidified, but they're just ideas. 100 to whoever gets the most viral post that month. Maybe they get the most views. So you can actually get your team to want to do this from this strategy. Commission on jobs generated. Maybe if a job came directly from you, of course, there's the commission there. And then the local celebrity, like I mentioned here. Oh, I want to use that guy because I keep seeing him online. That's another mindset there. So that's sort of the employee slash mascot silo strategy. And I did get a lot of ones in there. If you're a 2 here still, I'm gonna give you my information here. I'd love to just chat on how you might see the same strategy or even a variation of it. I know it's again not fully conceptualized, but I believe it has merit. And then the second is be the brand. So if this is for the owner operators, I put companies with 1 to 2 salespeople. If you're the owner and you're just the main salesperson, I'd say just be the brand yourself before you start thinking about having these other sub brands. I'm in that same shoes right now. I'm doing all the sort of posting. I'm the guy, I'm the face. Um, but I would say this is simple, short and sweet. Follow the strategies above the 80/20, depending on the platform, and start getting your name out there, because what this will do is it'll personalize your brand instead of your brand just being your name, your website, your truck, or only those people that know you from referrals, which I mean, let's face it, referrals are the best of the best. I mean, anybody that just recommended you, you can't beat that. But if you can model or recreate what a referral is through your social media, you can have, I mean, 5x the amount of people trust you and half the effort, basically based on putting your brand out there, putting your name out there, telling people who you are. And then two, if you this sort of plays piggyback on the first one I put, if your employees see that the boss is championing the like social media, he wants to be on the leaderboard, he wants the most views that week, all of a sudden, I mean, everybody's lifting up at that one time. Cool. Cool, cool. So that's a couple tactics there. You guys may have already seen 5 posts a week. I've sort of peppered this throughout because um, the way these Miro boards work, it's kind of just my brain in one giant piece of paper. 5 posts a week. This is what I recommend. It's a solid start. A post can literally be, you uh, just talking like a 30-second clip, a 10-second clip of value or personal like photo being shared. One per post per working day on your lunch break after you get off for the day before you get started. Um, these are the times where you can just quickly think of, all right, what can I just share? What can I just share to get my name out there? 5 posts a week is a really solid place, even if it's just one, guys. I'm just gonna have to add this, even if it's just one to get started. Like all I want from this is for you to take action, to just do one post, because that will start to snowball into, okay, I'm doing 2 a week. Now I'm doing 3 a week. Um, so I'm adding that in there just for the sake of 5 is a good target, but even if it's just one to get your foot off the ground, that's where I highly recommend. Bonus items, we're almost done here, but don't tune out fully. Um, my final recommendations: post regularly, schedule time, 3 to 5 posts per week. Is again a really good framework, 80/20. And if you follow the framework, it'll give you the blueprints for how to actually do this. I'm realizing now, if you got value out of this, you want the 80/20 in a more like blueprinted place. I can put it onto a PDF and send it to you. Don't stop, right? This is, if not the most important, I should have colored this one red and put flashing lights around it, because if you just start and do it for a month and then you stop, you might never see the traction that you were hoping for. You might have this awesome feeling right now, man, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to post, but you only do it for a month. It may not turn into the fruit that you're hoping for. Um, it took Brad 6 months to gain traction. He didn't have a single real thing at all from this. And fast forward to now, the 6 to 12 mark was when the snowball just got big and he was generating recurring revenue from it. So just a rule of thumb, do not stop. And I'm speaking to myself here, to be honest, because doing this and implementing it is hard, but you have to, like, if you have a strategy, you have a game plan, it makes it easier. Hire a virtual assistant to help. This is huge because at some point, you have a lot of things on your plate. You don't want to have to do all the posting. And if you're running a business, you don't expect everybody to publish it all on their own. Maybe you have somebody who's dedicated to doing the posts. You can hire a virtual assistant for uh, very more cost-effective option than hiring someone in-house full, uh, you know, W-2 employee. Could just be somebody from Fiverr, Upwork, or Facebook, who lives maybe in a different country that can help you. I actually do that. It's very helpful. Um, here's one. When you're doing all these posts, you can also sort of skip the line of waiting for people to come to you and just start to like build relationships with the people that are liking your photos or commenting. You can hit them with this exact message. So this is you could like screenshot this, or oops, if I could get it on the screen, maybe you could screenshot it. Um, Screenshot this, or take a picture of it. Really good message just to copy, paste, send to your community. It's not like it's you copy and pasting it loses its value, but hey, name, I appreciate you constantly showing up, supporting my post means a lot. If I can support you in any way, don't hesitate to ask. Anytime you see someone's face or birthday on Facebook, send them a message. Um, that one text alone could spark that person to be like, all right, this is cool. Not only do I like what this guy's all about, but he actually messaged me from liking my post. Um, don't be afraid to start new trends. This is what I mentioned this earlier, but we all are so creative. We all have so much unique, cool ideas that I probably did not cover on this talk today. So don't be afraid to just kind of go outside and step into your own creative sense. And then lastly, uh, a quote. If you feel uncomfortable about doing this, if you feel like, man, I don't want to be out on social media, I don't want to share everything. Um, you don't have to start posting your whole life story and every personal detail, but just get out there and start posting. If you're uncomfortable, big quote, life begins when your comfort zone ends, or I've heard it said, life begins when you step outside of your comfort zone. So I just encourage you to start posting. Um, and it's funny enough, right? This is a cool little takeaway. I resonate with this quote. This quote means a lot to me. I could take this little snapshot and post it on Facebook right now, and that's my post. Like just this little picture of life begins at the end of your comfort zone with Lionel Richie at the bottom. So that's how easy it is to kind of pull these posts out of the air. Um, let's see. I think oh yeah. And I just wanted to offer any of you guys, this is a great community. What RPA and IATMO have allowed to happen is just people to come together and share their minds, share their mastery. So if you want a free marketing audit, I mean, that's what I do. I can go in, I can help give you some foresight or intro onto like what you have going on. Maybe your brand is a little bit different than what I covered today, some of the examples I made. This is a personal line to reach me, 704-908-6928. Text me your first name, your last name, and let's talk so I know who I'm talking to. If you have any questions or you want a free marketing audit, yeah, take me up on that. Without further ado, Q&A. Do we have any questions?
All right, that was awesome, Carson. Appreciate
Oh, we
that. That
got
was
a. Oh,
we haven't
no, we don't.
have any Q&A?
No, I don't have anything.
No, I didn't see anything in the chat, but this was an excellent conversation. You hit on a lot of key topics today. Consistency is one of the most important things you can do on social media. Being yourself authentically every time, giving things away for free, open sourcing good ideas, something you know very much that I care greatly about. So I appreciate everything you talked about today. I thought it was really informative. I hope some people in this room take away some of this stuff today when they're trying to promote their businesses online. A lot of RPA members, um, like to start that journey on social media to share it is what it is that they do. But sometimes all you have to do is just share who you are as a person to gain that trust in your community, and it goes a really long way. So communication is key. Thank you for sharing a lot of those actionable items with us today, and hopefully some of the folks on this call will take that into consideration and try it out, and we'll watch this thing grow.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, John, you're a living case study of this. If you guys don't follow John, I mean, he's got his own brand, his own social media presence that he's been working super hard on. He's part of the reason I'm even giving this conversation today was him spearheading it. And Martin and Mel, thank you guys so much for your kind words. And I hope that this was valuable to everyone else who's still on the call, or was there at all throughout this talk.
Great. All right, guys. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Bye.